Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on our podcast, Bringing Value. Joined with my friend here, Ricardo Acevedo.
Hey guys, excited to be here again.
Very cool. Hey, listen, man. So I read this statement and I told a couple of my friends at the recent event, and everyone just seemed to feed off of it, including myself. And it really resonated with me. And the statement was, and I'm going to paraphrase it, it said, when a man does not have purpose, he seeks pleasure. And I don't want to make it just for men, because I can almost guarantee, and I know this because my friend Mariah told me that this resonated with her too.
Sure.
Which is when a human being does not have purpose, they seek pleasure, right? They seek outside worldly things. They seek things that they probably shouldn't be,
right?
Because they don't have purpose. And I want to really dive into that because for those who don't know, I ran a nightclub. That's how I kind of started my entrepreneur life, right? From 17 years old till about...
You look like a nightclub guy.
Yeah, well, I was. That's why I ran a really large nightclub. And from 17 years old to 22 years old, so about 5 years of my life, I ran one of the largest nightclubs in Southern California. And after that is when I started my business. And, you know, even recently I've been doing the whole self-fulfillment. But I'll tell you, when I do have my moments, and as you know, everyone does, including myself, I tend to go back. Right. I tend to find myself at a nightclub. I tend to find myself at a bar. I tend to find and surrounded by not the best environment. Right. Not to say that you can't go and have a good time there, but when it's a bad habit, when you're going there regularly, because I'm in my mind as I was seeking something.
Sure.
Right. And typically I think I've very much been open about my enemy is loneliness. Mm-hmm. Right. So being lonely, I think I need to be surrounded by people.
Sure.
So where do you find people? A nightclub or a bar. So I go there and I'll tell you very honestly that it does not fulfill me.
Right.
Within 1 hour, 2 hours, I'm sitting there like, why am I here?
Sure.
And I then go back home and then unfortunately it just repeats, right? It's like it's a perpetual cycle. Because I'm seeking. And when I read this statement, I go, wow, like that's what I was doing.
It is powerful.
Right. Because I was lacking purpose.
Yes. And let me feed off of that, because as you were sharing with me what the topic was going to be, and as you're discussing and sharing your personal experience on how you translate that, is obviously I'm thinking on my end, and the reason why the seek of pleasure is because there is no fulfillment inside of you. Mm-hmm. When there is no purpose in life, and when you forget as to the reason to why you do what you do, mm-hmm. that's when you start losing basically clarity in life. So you start being basically confused, and confusion leads to what? Start looking for things which is pleasure to temporarily satisfy yourself, because there is no clarity and purpose on a road or an actual direction you're mm-hmm. going in life, because you have lost purpose in life, or you have no purpose on doing something that connects you to your being, that fulfills yourself as what you're really supposed to be doing, that really fulfills you as a human being. And that's when you start tending to start looking outside, and you go through obviously, like you said, the worldly things, which is obviously drugs, alcohol, buying things, going to nightclubs, just seeking to do stuff that is fun, that is trying to just temporarily cover up because you're unhappy and unsatisfied, because you're not seeking true fulfillment by doing your purpose on a day-to-day basis.
It's looking back when I was digesting what you were saying, you're right, it's like a Band-Aid, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're putting a very temporary something on there, but it's not healing because you're not actually putting medication on what needs to be put medication on. Sure. Right. So, going back to my personal experience, is like I would go to these nightclubs. You're right. I would start buying things. Ravi said that. I would start buying random things that I thought that I wanted. Right. And I'll tell you, at first it did feel cool. Like, like I'm having a good time. I'm buying all this nice stuff. Week 2 comes in, week 3, and what I felt like it was like a decline. Sure. Right. And it's because I was running out of fuel, basically. Right. And I think we've talked about in previous podcasts, is like when you have purpose, you have like this endless, infinite, it's like a gas station that's in your system that's just fueling you nonstop. Yeah. Whereas, at least from my experience, when I was going through those phases of where I'm looking for outside pleasures, there's no gas station. There's no, I'm running on empty eventually. Yeah. And then you hit that same wall that you were at for step 1. It's like, well, I thought it was working, but it's not. Right.
And see, it's very interesting. You touched that subject of no fuel, right? No energy, or where do you fuel yourself, right? And it's based off of what you feed to prepare yourself to fulfill your purpose in life. I got a call yesterday from one of my good clients and friends, and he's going through a tough time right now in his life. I was able to kind of seek him in the right direction, and he goes, Ricardo, I'm always very questionable as to where do you get your energy from?
Yeah.
How do you stay with energy? How do you stay consistent with your energy? You have 10 kids. You have multiple businesses. You've been doing real estate for about 17 years now, 16 and some change. I met you years ago and your energy level was super high.
Yeah.
And I see you and you're still going at it. I check you on Instagram, on social media, and your just energy is there. And I said, listen, let me tell you why. The reason is because I prepare myself on a day-to-day basis, and I don't request from the outside world to validate what I'm looking for. I feed myself with the right ingredients on a day-to-day basis that's going to allow me to prepare me from the inside out so that I can go out into the world and I can fulfill my purpose, which is what I do for a living, that happens to be selling real estate, educating, coaching, and training people to become the best versions of themselves, along with coaching and training and overseeing my children at home, and basically trying to become the best version of myself so that I can become an influential person in their lives. So I have to continue to feed myself on a day-to-day basis, but not with the exterior material things. It has to be something bigger than that. And for me, it's my self-help, which is my self-development, reading books, praying every single day, reading my Bible, having meditation, exercising, and preparing myself to fuel that energy on a daily basis so that I can have energy that I need on a day-to-day basis to go out and execute happy, excited, and with fulfillment on a day-to-day basis, which again, the monetarily stuff or the things won't obviously fulfill it because they're just temporarily satisfactions that we find when we don't have purpose in life.
Money is a pleasure. If you think about it, right? So it cannot be purpose by that definition.
No.
Right? So will purpose lead you to more money? Yes. But can you find purpose in money? Probably not. If I actually argue, no, not at all.
Well, money comes as a product of what you do through the purpose of what you do in life. Right? It's money as a consequence of the things that you do, as basically providing a service that is basically your purpose and what you do in life.
Right.
And then as a result, you generate money that is going to allow you obviously to have a financial free lifestyle, but through the process of having a fulfilled, purposeful lifestyle.
Well, how many of us have heard, right? Like, including myself, and it's at these events too, you hear help 1 million people make $1 million, right? And I think it's almost like we're simplifying that, which is find purpose, do your purpose, and money will come to you anyway.
Sure.
I really like that. And I also liked what you said too, which was you can't expect outside things to give you fuel.
Sure.
Right? I was thinking myself, to be honest. I was like, okay, when I was going out to these clubs or buying stuff or whatever, I was expecting these things that I was acquiring from the outside, from my outside aura, like my energy, to give me more energy.
They will give you energy, but temporarily energy, Seth. It won't be an outlasting energy that eventually you're going to run out. It could be a good source to give you an initial push to get started, but it won't maintain you on the long term. There has to be something bigger and greater, and that's where the purpose on what you're doing in life that is going to continue to maintain that energy level so you're able to maintain yourself, or you're always going to be looking for something in the outside world to try to potentially figure it out and get fed it temporarily. And that's why people start getting deeper and deeper in holes, because they're starting to find other things greater and greater, because those things no longer fulfill them. Therefore, they start seeking and looking for other things
because they lack purpose at that moment, or at least clarity on their purpose.
That is correct. And therefore, they run out of energy because, again, they've fed themselves temporarily to get them going. But that's not something that's going to keep you there for the longer term.
It's almost like, and you've heard people say, life, it's weird. I'll hear some people say, life is too short. And other people are like, life is so long. And it's like, I feel like when you don't have purpose, life will feel long.
Yes, because it's long and exhausting and it's tiring.
Yes.
And has obviously, and it's in a sense probably boring because it has no meaning.
I liked how you said that, exhausting, right? And unfortunately, and I you know me, like I'm barely becoming like a true adult, and many of my peers are becoming that same thing. And
Sure.
my little brother and I talk about this, like, man, being an adult was hard. Like, you know, like we were not expecting this, you know? And it's crazy because like what you're saying is kind of like the key to that. It's like adulting does not have to be hard.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, finding a purpose is hard. I don't think it's an easy task necessarily.
And I was going to go there and how do we find purpose, right? Because a lot of people is going to say, I even used to question that about, question that to myself, is how do you find purpose? Well, purpose is found as you do life on a day-to-day basis on the things that you do. You will automatically find purpose when you're seeking for it.
Can you elaborate?
Yes, meaning you are actually seeking for it by looking for things. Well, I'm not going to say by looking for things, is by reading books, by doing life and seeking obviously information that is going to lead you and it's going to give you the opportunity to find your purpose as you're doing your job, as you're doing your day-to-day life. So your purpose is going to come from the things that you're already currently doing, from the things that are already around you, but you're not finding it because you're not looking for it. You're not educating yourself. You're not doing any self-help that is going to help you identify, when obviously you identify, oh, this is exactly what I'm supposed and meant to be doing. Because a lot of times we just go through life and we expect that our purpose is just going to,
we talk about it.
Just going to find us.
People just wake up and live day to day.
And we're not seeking for it. We're not reading books. We're not reading the Bible or whatever, obviously we use to do self-develop. And as you continue to do self-develop and you're doing your job and you obviously are living a well-balanced lifestyle, you will find your purpose. Your purpose is right in front of you, but you're not prepared to find it because you're not doing anything, out of the ordinary to educate yourself and to prepare yourself for an opportunity. Like we said, we train and we prepare so that when we obviously run across an opportunity, we're ready for the opportunity. A lot of the times our purpose is already there, but since we haven't trained and we haven't prepared ourselves,
we're blind to it.
We never see it. And it has been right in front of us.
So you're saying you have to be intentional about finding a purpose?
In my opinion, yes. And I could be wrong, but that's the way it happened to me. It was intentional. I was questioning. I was looking for it. I started picking up books. I started reading the Bible more and more. I started seeking self-help because I wanted to really, truly understand what is my purpose in life. What is my true responsibility? Why was I even born to begin with? What is my responsibility and my purpose in life? So as I continue to read my Bible, my books, I found my purpose, and obviously I just been feeding off of it, and I continue to feed, and I continue to learn, and I continue to read, and obviously I continue to evolve as I continue to move forward, and it continues to get bigger and bigger because I learn it more, I grow on it more. And then the actual vision itself and the actual purpose gets bigger and bigger.
I as I was listening to you, I was recollecting conversations I've had with people of my age and my little brother, for example, and other people. It's like, how many times have I heard, and it's countless, where people will say, Seth, I'm looking for what I need to do in life. I'm looking for why God put me on this world. And I think a lot of them, and it's crazy that you're saying this because it resonates so well, a lot of them start doing different things, hoping that purpose finds them. Right? It's like they're seeking purpose, but they're hoping that purpose will naturally just randomly find them. And you're saying the exact opposite. You're saying purpose is already there. It's in your current life right now. You are just so either distracted or not seeking it or not developing yourself to get that vision, right? It's almost like, the example I can say is like you have terrible vision and it's probably right in front of you, but because you have terrible vision, you can't see it. You need to step back, get an eye doctor, get a vision test, get some glasses on. And once you do those steps, you'll be like, oh, it was right here in front of me the entire time.
And see, that's how I found it. I found it through books. Books gave me direction to understand what my true purpose in life was. And those books are self-help books along with the Bible and gave me the answers to what I was looking for. And it was literally right in front of my eyes.
Books helped you identify the purpose.
That is correct.
So purpose was with you the entire time.
I was already doing something that was related to that. I just wasn't seeing the big picture.
Yeah.
On how I was actually going to fulfill that purpose
Yes.
through what I was actually already doing.
Wow, that's powerful if you think about it. Like, how many of us are doing day-to-day things and we're not seeing instant impact, right? We're not seeing the big picture because we're only focused on, well, I did this, but I only helped one person, or I did this and I didn't really help anybody. But it's like, it's a part of the bigger plan.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm assuming all those things you're doing just compounded. And then finally you arrived at this huge impact.
And it became something more visible that you could see, man, something special is going on. Something has developed from here. But again, it took years, Seth. It took years to understand that. It took years to digest it. And it took years to really understand what it really all meant.
Yeah.
And this was, again, through preparation. If I would have not picked up my books, if I would have not continued to read the Bible, if I would have not done what I do every single day to prepare myself to help myself find something, I would have probably not found it. And I would have probably be right now still seeking for my purpose, right? Once you start becoming curious, that's when you start finding things.
I like that.
You become curious, you start searching. You start searching. And if you search, you shall find.
Wow, powerful. Well, listen, like, we're nearing the end of the podcast, and I know, because I'm thinking of it, and I'm sure some of the audience is also thinking of it. It's like what I said earlier, which is man or people that don't have purpose or seeking pleasure.
Yes.
What would your advice be to someone who is in that right now, where they're seeking pleasure? They're, they're doing things that are not fueling them. And they're probably, if they haven't hit a wall already, they're going to hit a wall, right? Or they're feeling more and more fatigued. They're feeling like there's less life. Because like you were saying earlier, when I started that whole like buying pleasurable things, buying pleasurable experiences, traveling, and which I love to do and all of that, but I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I was doing it because I was looking for purpose, or I was running away from the fact that I didn't have purpose. Right? So what happens is it feels like a high at first, but it's like it just drops, and the drop is significant. It isn't like a 3 or 4 year. It was like almost instant for me.
Right.
What would your advice be to people that are in that right now?
Seek for self-help books. We here in our team, we do a transformational table with our team, which is basically my real estate agents, my staff, and anybody that wants to participate in our company. We do transformational tables every Fridays, and we work on values. Values. What are values? I mean, you can search. There's so many different values, but we follow 12 specific values that have brought so much clarity and have brought so much opportunity for my people that has grown together with us to understand, obviously, their path and their purpose in life, but just practicing better values in their lives through self-development. So it's basically self-development by books, but identifying values that are important to you that you have probably separated yourself from.
You're unaligned.
Like that you're fully unaligned because you have sidetracked yourself from things that matter and were important to you that are your main core values. And once you start attaching yourself back to your main core values, that's when you start finding meaning and purpose in your life. Because you're doing a life that is meaningful and purposeful for yourself. Therefore, you start aligning yourself in the right direction.
I really want to emphasize that, because that's something that you've told me I think we had a conversation like a month ago where I was in a rut, or two. It's been a couple months now, and it's stuck with me ever since. Which is, okay, who is Seth as a human being, as far as like who Seth wants to be? And then I started questioning, okay, is what Seth is doing, is what Seth is thinking matches? It's like, imagine like the spirit and the body. Right. And the body, when I say the body, I don't mean like the physical. I mean, that's a part of it, but I'm also talking about what the body's doing. The actions the body is doing. Is what the body's actions lined up with Seth's perfect spiritual life? And once I started asking that question, I started identifying and I go, no, it's not. What Seth is doing does not align with what Seth and who Seth wants to be as a human being. And once I started bridging that gap, right, getting closer and closer, I found more and more fuel. It reminds me, oh my God, another side note is a company once said, it's an incredible, he's a brand PR manager, marketing manager. I took his course. He's incredible. He talks about when he first takes on a client, he's taken on these Fortune 500 companies. So he sits everyone at the board down, right? So imagine 12 very important executives in the meeting. And he goes something along the lines of, I want everyone to write on this piece of paper what this company stands for. Okay. And you'd be surprised because they're all executives, these Fortune 500 companies, almost all the answers are different. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, okay, now I want you guys to write down what the customers think this company stands for.
Sure.
And he goes, okay, so they take a poll and see what customers are saying. He goes, so here is where we want to be, and here is where the customers think we are. Everything we need to do from now to later is just bridging that gap so that what the customers think aligns with what we want to be as a human being.
Sure.
And that reminds me very much of what we're talking about right now. It's like everything that we're doing doesn't match with who we want to be.
Exactly. And I believe, and that's where we start detaching and separating ourselves from our core true values.
Yeah.
And that's what obviously starts finding ourselves in a position where, we start basically seeking more pleasure stuff to try to bridge that gap.
Wow, I like that. Yeah.
Versus actually putting in the work that it requires so that we're able to line ourselves back with our true selves.
I would argue, like you just said right now too, the less aligned you are, the more likely you're to seek pleasures.
Absolutely. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. The more aligned you are, the more likely you're going to find and identify purpose.
Absolutely. And that it is fuel that keeps you in the right direction for the right reasons. And then because you're being true to yourself.
Yeah.
And therefore you're being true to others.
And I can also say, and this ties in, when you're seeking pleasures, it's not going to last. Right? It can't last a lifetime. Let's be honest.
Well, think about it, right? You buy the nice house.
Yeah.
You enjoy it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it just becomes a house.
Yeah.
You buy that nice car. It just becomes a car and you enjoy the car and it's just another car. But when you start seeking, obviously, for the right things that are going to be for the rest of your life, that's obviously where true fulfillment starts coming in, and you understand that you can live in that level of energy for the rest of your life.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. What? Any last comments before we close it here?
I challenge you guys that are looking at this podcast. I'm sure that you are potentially asking yourself, how can I find my purpose? Self-development books, self-help, Google, just go to self-help, Google self-help, and start finding things that are going to work in your inner you for you to work on yourself so that you become a better version of yourself. And I guarantee you that in the process, you will find your purpose, just like I did, that I was looking for it, but I wasn't preparing myself correctly until I started doing the things that I'm recommending for you guys to do, is that I found my purpose, and that gives me motivation, that gives me passion, drive, and desire to prepare myself to live the next half of my life. Continuing to develop myself so I can continue to feed off of that.
Powerful. Love it. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Until next time.